You say you love being alone. You repeat it with a smile. Like it's a choice. Like it's strength. But the bed feels too big. Your phone stays silent. And your chest, restless. You feel it. You watch couples. Pretend it doesn't matter. But something tightens inside. And you swallow it down. You've been disappointed before. You begged someone to stay. You shrank yourself for love. And you promised, never again. So you built independence. A full schedule. A busy life. A closed heart. But what if this isn't freedom? What if it's protection? What if your strength is fear in disguise? Are you alone? Or are you hiding? You don't hate love. You fear what love awakens. There's a silent difference there. And it changes everything. The problem was never the other person. It's what gets activated inside you. An old memory. An echo that still hurts. Carl Jung called this the shadow. Not something mystical or dark. But the wounded parts you hid. The version of you that learned not to need. The girl who felt too much. Or loved too intensely. Or needed too deeply. And was told that was too much. When that part was rejected, you made an unconscious decision. Never depend again. Never beg again. Never expose yourself like that again. You don't remember the exact moment. But you remember the feeling. Shame mixed with abandonment. The shadow doesn't disappear. It adapts. It learns how to survive. And it builds a new identity. Too independent. Too self-sufficient. I don't need anyone. It sounds strong, but it's born from fear. You began confusing distance with maturity. Silence with peace. Coldness with balance. Control with safety. But control doesn't heal wounds. It only avoids triggers. It blocks vulnerability. And it blocks love too. Every time someone gets close, your body reacts before your mind. An internal alarm goes off. Careful. Don't trust. Don't give too much. Don't repeat the mistake. And you pull back. Not because you don't want love, but because your shadow still trembles. Remembers what you forgot. The day you cried alone. The moment no one stayed. The silence after rejection. The look that turned cold. Keeps everything. And here comes the relief. You are not cold. You are not broken. You were never meant to be alone. You protected yourself. Like any wounded heart would. Your mechanism isn't weakness. It's survival. But long-term survival becomes a cage. You start living from defense. Not from desire. From prevention. Not from surrender. You call it preference. But your unconscious calls it protection. And constant protection is exhausting. What you call loving solitude may simply be fear of reliving pain. And fear is not identity. It is active memory. And memory can be healed. But first it must be seen, acknowledged, brought into the light. You say you love being alone. Yet you're always drawn to someone distant. Unavailable. Emotionally closed off. Almost impossible. And that's not coincidence. It's repetition. Silent repetition. You feel instant chemistry. Butterflies. A strange tension. Like something is at stake. But it's not love. It's unconscious recognition. He feels familiar. And your body knows why. The shadow chooses before your mind does. Looks for what feels familiar. Even if familiar hurts. Because known pain feels safer. Predictable rejection feels controllable. You call it destiny. But it's emotional memory. Activated. When he takes hours to reply, you pretend not to care. But you watch everything. Every tone shift. Every delay. You give more. Just more. Shrink again. You promise you won't chase. But you do. You promise you won't insist. But you insist. Not because you're weak. But because something old is driving you. A need to rewrite the ending. To finally be chosen. But the script is familiar. Distance. Anxiety. Self-abandonment. You start reshaping yourself. Dimming your light. Avoiding conflict. Accepting crumbs. And when it ends, you exhale. And say you prefer being alone. That relationships are exhausting. That you're just independent. But it still hurts. Because you wanted it to work. Here's the hard truth. You're not unlucky. You're trying to heal an old wound. Through someone who resembles the original pain. It's an unconscious attempt at redemption. This time will be different. But it rarely is. Because the root wasn't healed. Until you look inward. You'll keep calling patterns coincidence. Protection personality. Isolation preference. But it didn't start now. It started long ago. When you learned love meant risk, and risk meant pain. The quest on isn't why they leave. The question is why you choose those who can't stay. And when you understand that, everything begins to shift. That if you're recognizing yourself in these words, this channel is where your pain finds clarity and direction. Here you won't hear empty advice but truths that set you free. Every video is a step toward breaking patterns that have held you for years. Click the button right now and subscribe, because understanding is the beginning of healing. And you deserve more than repetition. You start strong, determined, independent, but inside you're already on alert. Not fully surrendered, not fully safe, always bracing for impact. Always ready to leave before being left. That constant tension is exhausting. You analyze everything. Read between silences. Decode short replies. Measure emotional investment. Calculate emotional risk. And call it maturity. But it's disguised exhaustion. You give too much, but never completely. You offer presence, but withhold vulnerability. You give care, but hide your needs. And in the end you feel unseen. Like no one truly knows you. The worst part isn't physical loneliness. It's silent self-abandonment. You start ignoring your intuition. Accept less than you desire. Tolerate inconsistency. Excuse absence. Because losing them feels worse than losing yourself. Fully. You adapt. Become more practical. More rational. More contained. Less intense. Less dreamy. Less you. Loneliness stops being a phase. It becomes identity. This is just who I am. I like my space. Relationships aren't my priority. Strong statements, but rooted in defense. And no one notices. You begin admiring your resilience, but ignoring your longing. Mistaking coldness for growth. Isolation for peace. Self-sufficiency for healing. But healing doesn't harden you. Healing softens you. And you are hardening. Then you try the false solutions. Love harder. Give more. Prove more. Or do the opposite. Shut down. Pull away. Quit before it starts. But loving harder doesn't fix it. People-pleasing doesn't fix it. Shutting down doesn't fix it. Because the problem isn't intensity. It's the root of your choices. As long as the wound leads, you'll call defense personality. And stay trapped in the same cycle. This is where it hurts. But this is where it clears. Because when you see the cost, you understand the price of your defense. And realize something essential. You weren't born. And to survive love, you were born to live it. But you must relearn how. Healing doesn't begin by finding someone better. It begins by finding yourself. It's not about opening your heart to just anyone. It's about opening awareness within. Patterns only break through perception. And perception requires courage. The courage to look honestly, without excusing what hurts you. First step. Interrupt the automatic reaction. When the chemistry feels overwhelming, don't run toward it. Pause. Ask yourself, is this peace or familiarity with pain? Your body always knows. Psychology shows something simple. Your nervous system can get used to chaos and mistake intensity for connection. But real connection doesn't rush. It stabilizes. It brings clarity, not anxiety, not fear of loss. Learning to distinguish anxiety from love changes everything. Anxiety demands constant proof. Love builds safety over time. Anxiety begs for reassurance. Love respects space. Anxiety drains you. Love sustains you. Second step. Practice emotional presence with yourself. Not isolation. Self-awareness. Sit in silence. And ask honestly, what am I truly feeling? What do I truly need? Sometimes you don't want a relationship. You want validation. You want to be chosen. You want to feel enough. And that's human. But once you recognize that, you stop projecting it outward and start building it inward. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." If you deny your longing, it will control your choices. When you accept your need for love, it stops being weakness. It becomes awareness. And awareness transforms patterns. You start small, setting simple boundaries. Not chasing those who show no effort. Not explaining your worth. Not competing for attention. Watching actions, not just words. That is emotional maturity. And something shifts. When you stop abandoning yourself, anxiety softens. Urgency fades. You begin choosing differently. Not from fear, but from clarity. And clarity is freedom. Healing doesn't remove your desire for love. It refines it. Now you don't want just presence. You want reciprocity. Not just company, but partnership. And that shift begins within. Hey, if you got distracted, come back right now. Breathe, because this part matters. You thought God was distant, watching in silence, while you shut down, while you claimed you didn't need anyone. But maybe he was waiting for something else. Not your strength, not your performance, but your honesty. There is a kind of loneliness that isn't punishment. It's invitation, an invitation inward, without distractions, without masks, without relationships that numb you. Proverbs says something powerful. Above all else, guard your heart. Guarding isn't locking it away. It's caring for it, healing it before handing it over again. You tried protecting it by hardening, but God protects by restoring. You tried avoiding pain by escaping, but God transforms pain by revealing it. There's a difference. Maybe this season isn't rejection. Maybe it's redirection. Maybe God didn't remove someone from you. Maybe he removed you from something. From a pattern. From repetition. From a story that would end the same way. And you didn't see it. The Psalm says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." It doesn't say perfect. It doesn't say strong. It says brokenhearted. God doesn't approach your armor. He approaches your vulnerability. The part you hide. You don't have to pretend you love being alone. You can admit you long for connection. You can confess your fear. You can say it still hurts. Faith isn't denying pain. It's walking through it accompanied. Letting God touch your shadow. Without shame. When you surrender the wound, it loses control. When you admit your longing, it stops choosing for you. God doesn't erase your desire for love. He aligns it, refines it, repositions it. You begin to see something new. Your loneliness isn't a sentence. It's a process, a preparation, an inner rebuilding. So when love arrives, you won't shrink or hide. Faith doesn't replace psychology. It completes it. Psychology reveals the pattern. Faith sustains the transformation. One brings awareness. The other brings hope. And together, they restore you. You are not alone. You are being shaped. You are not behind. You are being aligned. And when you truly understand that, you will stop calling defense personality and start calling healing purpose. And everything begins to make sense. You remember the beginning, saying you loved being alone, smiling confidently, but feeling empty at night. Now something has shifted. Not outside. Quietly, you understand your shadow. Not as an enemy, but as a wounded part, trying to protect you. You don't reject it anymore. You listen, you hold it gently, and you integrate it. That is real maturity. Not hardening, but softening with awareness. Not running from love, but choosing with clarity. Not denying longing, but not being ruled by it. There is strength in that. You don't need to prove independence. It's already there. Now it's not a wall. It's a foundation. Not a shield, but structure. You can love without abandoning yourself. Loneliness is no longer identity. It's a temporary state, a space for growth, not a life sentence. You don't say anymore, "This is just who I am." You say, "I am in process." And process means movement. Movement means life. Life means possibility. Now you recognize signs. Spot patterns early. You don't romanticize absence. You don't negotiate respect. That changes destinies. You're no longer drawn to chaos. You're drawn to peace. Not to intensity that rushes, but presence that calms. You learn to wait, without anxiety, to choose, without desperation. And if someone doesn't stay, you don't collapse. You understand. It wasn't alignment. It wasn't purpose. It wasn't reciprocity. God didn't remove love from you. He removed you from repetition. Psychology gave you awareness. Faith gave you hope. Together they gave you direction. You are not destined death or loneliness. You are destined for transformation. And transformation rewrites stories. You can change your destiny. And it begins now. If this message resonated with you, subscribe right now to our channel. Here you won't find noise, you'll find direction. Every video is a step toward breaking patterns and rebuilding your story with awareness and faith. You are not alone in this journey. Walk with us. And for you who stayed until the end, write in the comments, I choose healing. When you declare something consciously, your mind begins aligning with that decision. And spiritually, what you speak gains strength within you. May this be the night your cycle begins to change.